Hey guys, welcome in a code lecture. My name is Philip, and in this video you are going to learn how to validate forms in React. So without any further waiting, let's start. As you probably know, you need to set up your project and you need to check out a specific version of my project. You can do so by cloning or downloading of my GitHub repository and checking out to a specific version specified in the tags here. All of this is very well explained in my starting video. You can find in a description of this video. So go ahead. If you don't know how to set up this project, you can find these informations in the first video from this series. Alright, so if your projects are already set up, we can navigate to our terminals and we can open our projects here. I will shut down my server because I'm currently navigated in my project. I will type here git tag to see all of the available tags, and in this lecture we are going to work on a version 1.1. Okay, so to check out this version, you can simply write here git checkout -b. You will name your branch, new branch with some name. I will call this validation space and a version you want to check out to. Okay, so version 1.1 from here. Okay, you'll press enter, and to verify it, you can just write here git branch to be sure you are in a validation branch. Okay, when you are already here, you can just simply write here as always npm install to verify that every package was installed, and after that npm run dev, and you can open your applications in a coding editor. So npm run dev, this will start up development server on localhost 3000. After that, you can go to your browsers. You can go to localhost 3000, refresh here, and you should see here your initial application. When you are already here, you can go to localhost 3000 /portfolios /new, and here will be form we'll be trying to validate. So here is a create new portfolio form, and here are all of the steps you need to do. Okay, so this video will be with much less information as I am usually providing in my Udemy courses, because it needs to fit into a YouTube video, of course. If you want to full guide how to create a project in a Next.js with a Node API server, just follow some of my Udemy courses. You can always find a link in the resources. All right, so what we want to do, we want to first get informations from the inputs, and then we want to validate these informations. So we want to make sure these inputs are required. So user has to put here some information before submitting a form, before information from a form will go to the server. And we want to provide the different types of validators. For example, validator to verify if we are providing some values here, or a validator that will verify that we are providing some minimum length of the characters, or maybe some maximum length of the characters, or maybe some custom validators that will check that we are providing correct website, all right, or validators that will verify, for example, that we are providing first uppercase starting letter. Okay, so we will start with the first simple thing. To get all of the informations from the form, after user will click here create, we would like to display all the data on the screen. Okay, for this we'll use one package called Reacthook form. So simply let's write here Reacthook form. All right, this should lead you to a react-hook-form.com. Let's click here. It's very nice package. It's very simple to use, and you can click here get started. If you want to learn about API of this, you can just click here API. Okay, we will go to get started because we need to install this project. We can do so by writing npm install react-hook-form. Okay, so I'll copy this command. Let's go to our terminals. Let's shut down our server, Ctrl-C or Command-C. I'll clear it out, and let's write here npm install of this package --save. So this package will be added into package.json. Let's press enter. This should take just a couple of seconds, and after that, we will run our server. Okay, so it's installed. We can run npm run dev to start up our development server, and now we can use this package to get information about our form. Okay, let's go to our coding editors. First, let's find our form here. You can find it in a pages folder, portfolios, new.js, and here you can see component portfolio form, and portfolio form actually contains our portfolio inputs. So to see it, we need to go to components, shared portfolio form. So we need to open components, shared portfolio form, and here are all the inputs we would like to validate. But first we want to get this data from an input. So we will import here this package. Up here, let's write here import use form, like curly brackets, use form, and from React-hook-form. Perfect. Okay, we will also use here alert component from React Bootstrap. It's already installed for you, so just simply use here alert from React Bootstrap. Perfect. And let's continue with the use form because we need to get some informations from a use form. So let's scroll into your component actually. And let's write here const. What we need to get from a use form is a register and handle submit. A register to register an input, and handle submit to submit your form. Handle submit. And you can get it from a use form. You will just call a use form. Now you need to register all of your inputs, and it's very important that your input has a name attribute. This is very important because depending on this name attribute, you will get your data into your form. Okay, I'll show it to you. Okay, so first we need to register our inputs. You can do so by writing here a reference attribute, just a ref, and you will provide here in a curly brackets register, and that's it. One more time, name attribute is mandatory here. So all of your inputs should have a name attribute. Now let's provide a ref to all of our inputs. Company website, location, job title, description, and that's it. And when you want to submit your form, you need to provide a submit event to a form. So let's write here on form on submit. In a curly brackets, you will provide handle submit. Okay, so let's write here handle submit. And to a handle submit, you need to provide a callback function, which will be executed after your form will be submitted. And to handle submit, you will receive a data from a form, which we can alert on the screen. Don't forget to stringify them because you cannot display object. It will display object in alert, but we want to display actual data from a form. So JSON.stringify, and let's provide the data from the form. Let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers, and after that you should be able to. Let's refresh here first. After that you should be able to write here information. So some title, some company, and here actually doesn't matter. Okay, it can be google.com. Okay, location, all right, so Spain, let's say, job title, developer, description, doesn't matter. Let's click here, create, and you should see all of this information here. As I previously mentioned, the name attribute is very important. You can see here, you have a data under name of your input. So if I will change here a name of my input, let's say here in the title, I will change it for custom underscore name. You will see my data will be now underscore on this name attribute. So you can see here now custom name, some title. Actually, I will refresh it because it was a little bit bugged. Okay, I will write here more informations, create, and you can see here custom name, and here is my data. Okay, so name attribute is very important. You need to always provide it to your input element. So I will change it back to a title. Okay, so now we are getting all the information from our inputs, and the register is also important because this is how you will register your input, and you can get them data then from a use form function handle submit. As you can see here, to handle submit, we are providing callback functions with a data parameter here, which will be prefilled by handle submit function, which will get us data from a form. Of course, this is not very readable, so what I would like to do, I would like to separate this function into a separate function here. So in the portfolio form, I will create here, let's say, I'll call it on submit. All right, it will be simple function. This will be the same function we are writing here, so I can simply copy it, and I can paste it here, like this. Okay, we'll receive here data, and then I can just simply pass here this function. So basically the same as we did before, but now we have a separate function for it, and now it's more readable. Okay, so we are getting our data from a form, but this lecture should be about the validation. And with the package Reacthook form, you have a lot of validators provided out of the box. So for example, we would like to make all of our inputs required. So if you want to make your input required, simply let's provide to register more parameters. You need to execute register, and you need to provide here some more parameters as the object. For example, you can provide here a validator called required, and it will mark it as a true. And I will provide all of these validators to my input. So I will simply copy it, and I will provide these validators into all of my inputs. All of my inputs will be now required. Okay, required here, required here. Perfect. Now when I will try to submit the form, my data will be not submitted when I will not provide the data into my inputs. So you can see it when you will go to browser, you will refresh here, you will try to create here, but you are not displaying any informations. Even after I will pre-fill some inputs here, I will click here create, I don't see here any informations. I need to pre-fill all of my data, then press create, and then I have here all of my data from the form. Because our validators are already working and validating our inputs, and handle submit function will be not executed until all of your inputs will be correctly validated. Of course, we would like to inform about this our users. We don't want to simply just not provide any data, or we will not make any requests in the background. We need to inform a user that something is wrong, and we would like to provide here a message that this location input is required. So we would like to display under this input some text, please provide a location is required, or something like this. Okay, so for this we need to go back to our calling editors. And the use form is exposing another very important object called errors. On the errors, you can check for actual errors you are getting in the form after validation process is done. All right, so under input, we can check for these errors. Okay, so under each input, I will provide curly brackets, and I will check if I have an error of a title. And if I have an error of a title, I would like to display this alert component with some text that my input is required. So I will check here. On the errors, you can check for error, and you would like to check for errors of a title. One more time, this title is very important. This is defined on the attribute of a name of the input. Okay, so thanks to this name attribute of a title, I can also access my errors under the title for this specific input. So I can check if I have any errors related to a title, then display me this alert. So if I have an errors of title, then display me alert. Okay, so I will display here alert component like this. Okay, and here we will write also variant. Variant is just how it will be styled, this alert box. So we would like to style it as a danger. You can find all of this in the React Bootstrap documentation, how to style alert component. But it is not really important in the scope of this lecture. Okay, so if we have an error related to title, we can display we have some error here. Okay, now we can save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Okay, and we'll just simply click here create, and you can see here we have some error here. When I will start typing here, error will disappear. Of course, we don't want to just check for any error. We would like to check specifically for error, which is a required error. Okay, so you can do it like this. Here inside of our, where we are checking for errors of title, we can check here specifically for errors of a required. Okay, so I can write here another set of curly brackets, and I can check here specifically if errors dot title dot type is equal to required error. Then we would like to display here p element, and we'll display here title is required like this, and I can remove this part here, and I will display specifically error of the title. Okay, so let's go back to our browsers. Now when I will refresh it, I will create here, and you can see here title is required. When I will start typing here, this error will disappear. All right, so this was the first validator. Let's go back to our calling editors. One more thing we can do here, we can use here save operator, so I can write a question mark in front of my property. In the case the title or errors will be undefined, it will not throw the error in my application. So I will gracefully just not display any errors. Okay, and we can check here also for a type with a question mark. So if one more time, if the errors will be undefined and I would access here title in a normal case, I would throw the error in my application, so I will display here some error. When you will use the save operator, this expression will be resolved as undefined and you will not throw any error. Okay, just a save or a Elvis operator that it's also called. Okay, so now we are checking for our required error of a title. Of course, now we would like to propagate these errors into all of our inputs. So let's copy this wall box here, starting with the curly brackets, and let's provide it under every input. So you'll get it here, we'll get it under a company website, we'll get it under a street, we'll get it, we have a street twice. Okay, there's HTML4, here is it twice. Okay, don't worry about it. We will get it under description, so under text area here. And I will change here these arrows. Here we want to check for a description because name is a description here. So if the arrow's description and if the arrow's description type is required, let's continue with a job title. I forgot to copy it to a job title, so I will copy it one more time. Okay, let's copy it. Let's get it under a job title. All right, so here is a name job title. So if the arrow's a job title and the arrow's job title type is required, then let's write here job title is required, and also I forgot it here. We should change it for a description is required. All right, let's continue with this. So I will copy it one more time. Let's get it. Oh, we don't need to copy it. We just need to change here. This title will be here location because name is location. So let's write it for location. Here will be arrows location type, and location is required. Let's continue with the title here. Actually, this is a company website, so I'll copy company website.type, and a arrows.company website. Let's write here company or website is required, website is required. And also here is a company, so again, one more time to check for a company, so arrows.company, we can copy it, and arrows.company.type. Okay, and also change it here, so company is required. All right, the title is already done. So now when we will save this, let's go back to our browsers. Let's refresh here. Now let's create here, and you can see here all of the related errors. We can provide here informations. All right. And now let's create, and we can submit our form. Perfect. So it's working. We have here some backslash here. I added it, I think, randomly or by coincidence here under a company website. So I will remove it. Okay, so under a company website here should be somewhere added slash here. I will remove it. Okay, so required is of course not only validator we can provide here. So you can check for all the validators here in a Reacthook form. Apply validation here, and you can apply validation required, min, max for numbers, min length, max length for strings, pattern for a regex validation, and validate for a custom validations. Okay, so for example, here you have also some examples as you can use a max length, pattern, and a min and a max. Okay, so we'll use here a min length and a max length. We don't have any numbers, so this is very similar to max length and max length and min length, but when you're working with the numbers, so when your input has a type number, you will just use a min and max. Okay, so let's try to apply max length and a min length, and then let's try to apply pattern. Okay, let's do it. Let's go back to our coding editors. Okay, and we'll apply here max length and min length. So to title here, I will write here required, and I will say here, let's say max length. Max length will be, let's say 30 characters. Now we need to check specifically for this error if it will be not validated correctly. So I'll copy this part here where we are checking for a required. I'll paste it under, and we will check here for a type of a max length. Okay, you can see here type is exactly the same as the name of your property here in a register object. So we are checking here for a max length, and in the case of a max length, let's say max length of a title is 30 characters. Max length of title is 30 characters, like this. Okay, now we can check for this error, and we'll check here also for a min length in, let's say, in a company. So I'll write here in a company, I'll write here min length, and a min length will be, let's say, 5 characters, and I will copy this error from here. All right, and I will check here if the arrows.company type is min length. All right, then let's write here min length of company is 5 characters. Let's save this and let's verify it. All right, so let's go back to our browsers. All right, let's go to our application. Let's refresh here. Let's click here, create. You will see all of these validators. When I will start typing into a title, everything is good. But when I will go over 30 characters, I will see here max length of a title is 30 characters. In the company, when I will provide the 1 character, you should see here min length of company is 5 characters. When I will go over 5, it's okay. When I will less than 30, it's okay. When I will provide here required company, website, location, title, and description, all is okay. And I can create here, and I will display informations. When I will provide it less, create, we are not submitting form because we have here error. Okay, everything is working, so we are providing these validators. Now let's provide some pattern validator to our company website, so we'll make sure we are providing valid website. So we would like to validate that we are providing www.google.com, for example, and we are not providing, for example, let's say some invalid email address. All right, so for this, we will use a regex pattern. You can search for the regex pattern in a new tab here. Just simply search your regex email validation or something like this JavaScript. So let's write here regex email JavaScript, and let's hope we will find here some validator. I think I found some validator email regex.com. I think, let's see. Let's hope this will work. Some of these validators there. Okay, they are pretty long and complicated. I would like to search here for something much simpler. Give me a second. I will find this website. I have found my validator before, and I will share with you this link. All right, guys. So let's use here some regex pattern, and actually we'll not search it for it here. You can, of course, you can get it from searching in Google, but I already prepared this validator in my GitHub repository. So if you will go to my GitHub repository to branch master, you will go to pages. Oh, actually not pages. Let's go to a components, shared, and a portfolio form. In a portfolio form, you should find here this validator in a pattern. So let's go down here, and somewhere here should be pattern, and here is this validator. Okay, so simply let's copy this entire pattern. All right, it should be like this. Let's copy it. Let's go back to our coding editors. And let's get it to a company website. So company website, next to the required, let's write a comma, and here is this validator. Okay, perfect. You can copy it from the resources of this lecture. So just go simply to description. You can find the link to my GitHub repository and also to this regex pattern. So now we are providing pattern validation where pattern is a regex expression, and now we can check for this error type here. So under this error, I will copy it, let's paste it, and let's search here for errors company website.type and pattern. And we will say here, website is not valid. Website URL has not valid format. Has not valid format. All right, let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. And now it should work. Let's go to localhost 3000. I will refresh it, and let's provide here some company website. So I'll click here, create. Company website is required. I will write here google.com. It's valid. When I will remove some parts, company URL is not valid. I will remove this part, is not valid anymore. I need to write here google.com. Oops. Google.com, or I need to write here www.google.com. All of this is working, but when I will remove some of the W's here, website URL has not valid format. All right, so now this validator is working. So we can provide here title, company, website, location, job title, description, and a company website, google.com. And now when I will click here, create, everything should work. All right, and it's working. So now I have introduced you all of the validators out of the box you can use. Okay, so required, min length, max length, then you have a min and max working similarly, and a max length and a min length, but you will provide them to inputs with the numbers. Also, I have introduced you pattern validator, and yeah, that's basically all the validators. What we have here also is a validate, and to validate, you can provide your custom validator, and I will introduce you how to create a custom validator right now. It's actually very simple. So let's say we would like to validate here title, and we would like to verify that our title is starting with the uppercase first letter. Okay, let's go back to our coding editors. If you want to create a validator, you need to create a function, because validator is just a simple function that takes the value from your input and it's returned true or false depending on the validation state. Okay, so let's write your function. Just simply const, and let's say our validator will be called first letter upper simple function that will take the input value. Okay, so I can call it input, or just a simple input or input value. Okay, and I will just return here for now false, because when you will return a false, this means your input is not valid. Okay, I'll write your comments, some comments for you. So if you return false, input is not valid. Input is not valid. If we will return a true, input is valid. Okay, so I will return here false. This means doesn't matter what I will write in my input, it will be always invalid. Now you will get your function name. You will go to an input you want to validate. So for, in this case, my title, you will provide your validate key, and into validate you will provide another object where you will specify your validators. We would like to specify here a validator. Let's call it, or we can call it same as our function name. So first letter upper, where we'll provide the first letter upper. Since the key and the value is the same, we can simply omit one, and we'll provide your first letter validator. Okay, so now let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Or actually, before that, we can check here for actual this error, right? So I will just simply check here after max length. We are checking for errors title type. We are checking for a first letter upper type, and we will say here title should start with the uppercase letter. Title should start with uppercase letter, like this. Let's save this now back to browsers. But it doesn't matter really what we'll write here. We'll get here always error. Okay, like, oh, we need to first submit create, and you can see here title should start with the uppercase letter. We are displaying this error here. But it doesn't matter what we are writing here. We are always returning false, which is providing error on our errors object. Okay, we can also debug it if you want, and you will see it. Actually, I can just simply write here console log, and I will write here input value, and you will see every time I will write in an input, this validator, this function will be executed. So let's go back to our browsers. Let's refresh here. Let's click here create. Let's inspect this page. Right click, inspect. Let's see console. Right, actually, I will provide it here. Okay, console, and every time I will write into a title, I will console log out. So my validator is executed every time, and it's validating my input value, and it's returning false, so it's always invalid. So now let's provide here some functionality, actual functionality. Okay, first I will say here, if I don't have any input value, in some case I don't need to have any input value. So if I don't have any input values, just simply return me here true, everything is fine. Okay, we don't have any input value, we don't need to validate anything. Okay, now actual validator. So I will check here if my input value, how you can check for a first character in your input value. Just simply as in an array, in a string, you can access character on the index of 0. This will access your first character, and you will transform it to an uppercase. And if this is equal to your actual input value on character 0, then it will return a true. So simply let's return true, and my input is valid. Otherwise, let's return a false, my input is not valid. So I can show it to you. Okay, first we'll verify it's working. So I'll provide here some value. Create, title should start with the uppercase letter. So I'll provide here uppercase S. Now it's working. Lowercase s is not working. Okay, so how does it work? Simply go to inspect, and when we have some string, all right, so let's verify we have some word. Okay, so const word, let's say hello. Okay, unexpected. Oh, it should be const word. Okay, we have a hello world. Let's say we would like to verify it's starting with the uppercase letter. Okay, so we'll just simply get this word. I'll access here character on the index of 0. This H, as you can see here, I'll write here to uppercase. All right, this should return me uppercase H. And if this is the same as my word, on in the index of 0, this should return true or false. And in this case, it's returning false because my hello starting with the lowercase. Okay, but when I will change it to uppercase, okay, that's I should change the word here. So okay, let's change here. Let's write your word 2 is equal to hello, but I think you already got a point. I will just verify this. I will just change your word 2 is equal to word 2 at index of 0. This should return a true. Okay, so that's simply how this validator is working. Very, very simple validator. And what we can do, we can simplify it even more. All right, and we can just simply return from here this statement like this. And if this statement, it will be equal. So if my input value to uppercase is equal to input value at index of 0, this will return true. This means it's valid. If this will return false, this means my input is not valid. It's just a simplified expression as we had before. Okay, let's save this. Now back to browsers. Let's refresh. Let's create. Okay, it doesn't work. We need to provide the uppercase first letter. Now it's working. All right, we'll provide here all the information, and now we can submit and we can get our information. One more thing, guys. That should be it actually to form validation with Reacthook forms. In the next lecture, in the part 2 of this video, I would like to explain you more difficult inputs. Maybe when you're working with some custom components, it's not simply to register. It's not so simple to register inputs as we are doing with the simple inputs, as we have already HTML elements provided. Okay, so in a case you have some more difficult components, for example, date pickers, you cannot just register them like this. You need to register them differently, and also you can get the values from there differently, and also you need to validate them differently. So I'll be explaining how to work with these different components and how to validate them in a second part of this video. But what we can do right now, we would like to provide this information from a form into our page, because currently they are contained only in our portfolio form. But as I showed you before, we have here actual page. In a Pages, portfolios, new.js, you are providing this portfolio form component here. But in a real scenario, when you would like to provide this data, you would like to send this data through the API request to your server, you would like to get your data into topmost component, into your page. In this case, portfolio new component. So how can we get these informations here? Very simple. We'll simplify here callback function. We'll call it, let's say, we'll call it handle portfolio create or something like this, or create portfolio. So let's write here create portfolio. All right, it will be arrow function where we'll receive our data from a form, and for now we'll just simply alert them as a JSON .stringify, and we'll get here our data. This function will provide to our portfolio form as a prop, and this prop we can call simply onSubmit. Okay, so I'll specify here onSubmit prop, where I will pass my function create portfolio. All right, this onSubmit function I will receive as a prop in a portfolio form. So in a parameters of this function, I can destructurize it from a props. OnSubmit, I can remove this onSubmit, and this will stay the same because we are now providing onSubmit from a props. Let's save this. When you will go to your browsers and you will refresh, you will click here create. You need to first provide the data. Okay, company, a website, location, job title, and everything work as before, but now you can get this information into your more root component into portfolio page, and you are displaying these informations. All right, guys, so that should be it from this video. If you would like to see maybe more in-depth guide, step-by-step guide with lots of hours of content, you can check some of my Udemy videos where I am explaining how to create this whole application of portfolios, where I will be explaining more architectural steps. I will be explaining how to create this application from scratch, how to work with the Node API server, how to work with the Next.js. And yeah, all of these courses you can find on my website or on Udemy. You can find the links in the description of this video. And for a second part of this lecture, you can just check the part 2 of this video, where I will be explaining how to registered date input and how to validate the date input. That should be it from this lecture. Thanks you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers!